People has grown unreceptive, and with their ears they have heard without response, and they have shut their eyes, so that they might never see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and get the sense of it with their hearts, and turn back, and I heal them. However, happy are your eyes because they see, and your ears because they hear. For truly I say to you, many prophets and righteous men desired to see the things you are observing, but did not see them, and to hear the things you are hearing, but did not hear them. Now listen to the illustration of the man who sowed. Where anyone hears the word of the kingdom, but does not get the sense of it, the wicked one comes and snatches away what has been sown in his heart. This is the one sown alongside the road. As for the one sown on rocky ground, this is the one hearing the word, and at once accepting it with joy. Yet he has no root in himself, but continues for a time, and after tribulation or persecution has arisen on account of the word, he is at once stumbled. As for the one sown among the thorns, this is the one hearing the word, but the anxiety of this system of things and the deceptive power of riches choke the word, and it becomes unfruitful. As for the one sown upon the fine soil, this is the one hearing the word and getting the sense of it, who really does bear fruit and produces, this one 100 times more, that one 60, the other 30.
He presented another illustration to them, saying,
The kingdom of the heavens may be likened to a man who sowed fine seed in his field. While men were sleeping, his enemy came and oversowed weeds in among the wheat and left. When the stalk sprouted and produced fruit, then the weeds also appeared. So the slaves of the master of the house came and said to him, Master, did you not sow fine seed in your field? How then does it have weeds? He said to them, An enemy, a man, did this. The slaves said to him, Do you want us then to go out and collect them? He said, No, for fear that while collecting the weeds, you uproot the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest, and in the harvest season, I will tell the reapers, First collect the weeds, and bind them in bundles to burn them up. Then gather the wheat into my storehouse.
He presented another illustration to them, saying,
The kingdom of the heavens is like a mustard grain that a man took and planted in his field. It is in fact the tiniest of all the seeds, but when it has grown, it is the largest of the vegetable plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds of heaven come and find lodging among its branches.
He told them another illustration.
The kingdom of the heavens is like leaven that a woman took and mixed with 3 large measures of flour, until the whole mass was fermented.
All these things Jesus spoke to the crowds by illustrations. Indeed, without an illustration he would not speak to them, in order to fulfill what was spoken through the prophet, who said, I will open my mouth with illustrations. I will proclaim things hidden since the founding. Then, after dismissing the crowds, he went into the house. His disciples came to him and said,
Explain to us the illustration of the weeds in the field.
In response, he said,
The sower of the fine seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. As for the fine seed, these are the sons of the kingdom, but the weeds are the sons of the wicked one, and the enemy who sowed them is the devil. The harvest is a conclusion of a system of things, and the reapers are angels. Therefore, just as the weeds are collected and burned with fire, so it will be in the conclusion of the system of things. The Son of Man will send his angels, and they will collect out from his kingdom all things that cause stumbling, and people who practice lawlessness, and they will pitch them into the fiery furnace. There is where their weeping and the gnashing of their teeth will be. At that time, The righteous ones will shine as brightly as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Let the one who has ears listen. The kingdom of the heavens is like a treasure hidden in the field that a man found and hid. And because of his joy, he goes and sells everything he has and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of the heavens is like a traveling merchant seeking fine pearls. Upon finding one pearl of high value, he went away and promptly sold all the things he had and bought it. Again, the kingdom of the heavens is like a dragnet let down into the sea and gathering fish of every kind. When it was full, they hauled it up onto the beach, and sitting down, they collected the fine ones into containers, but the unsuitable they threw away. That is how it will be in the conclusion of the system of things. The angels will go out and separate the wicked from among the righteous, and will cast them into the fiery furnace. There is where their weeping and the gnashing of their teeth will be. Did you get the sense of all these things?
They said to him,
Yes.
Then he said to them,
That being the case, every public instructor who is taught about the kingdom of the heavens is like a man, the master of the house, who brings out of his treasure store things both new and old.
When Jesus had finished these illustrations, he departed from there. After coming into his home territory, he began to teach them in their synagogue, so that they were astounded and said,
Where did this man get this wisdom and these powerful works?
Is this not the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary? And his brothers James and Joseph and Simon and Judas? And his sisters, are they not all with us? Where then did he get all of this?
So they began to stumble because of him. But Jesus said to them,
A prophet is not without honor, except in his home territory and in his own house.
And he did not perform many powerful works there on account of their lack of faith. Chapter 14. At that time, Herod, the district ruler, heard the report about Jesus and said to his servants,
This is John the Baptist. He was raised up from the dead, and this is why these powerful works are operating in him.
Herod had arrested John and had bound him and imprisoned him because of Herodias, the wife of Philip, his brother. For John had been saying to him, It is not lawful for you to have her. However, although he wanted to kill him, he feared the crowd, because they took him for a prophet. But when Herod's birthday was being celebrated, the daughter of Herodias danced for the occasion and pleased Herod so much that he promised with an oath to give her whatever she asked. Then she, at her mother's prompting, said,
Give me here on a platter the head of John the Baptist.
Grieved though he was, the king, out of regard for his oaths and for those dining with him, commanded it to be given. So he sent and had John beheaded in the prison. His head was brought on a platter and given to the girl, and she brought it to her mother. Later his disciples came and removed his corpse and buried him. Then they came and reported to Jesus. At hearing this, Jesus departed from there by boat into an isolated place to be alone. But the crowds, getting to hear of it, followed him on foot from the cities.
Yeah, that was Jesus' first cousin. Just
When he
like,
came ashore, he saw a large crowd, and he felt pity for them, and he cured their sick ones. But when evening fell, his disciples came to him and said,
The place is isolated, and the hour is already late. Send the crowds away, so that they may go into the villages and buy themselves food.
However, Jesus said to them,
They do not have to leave. You give them something to eat.
They said to him,
We have nothing here except 5 loaves and 2 fish.
He said,
Bring them here to me.
And he instructed the crowds to recline on the grass. Then he took the 5 loaves and 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he said a blessing. And after breaking the loaves, he gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the crowds. So they all ate and were satisfied, and they took up the leftover fragments, 12 baskets full. Now those eating were about 5,000 men, as well as women and young children. Then, without delay, he made his disciples board the boat and go ahead of him to the opposite shore, while he sent the crowds away. After sending the crowds away, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone. By now, the boat was many hundreds of yards away from land, struggling against the waves because the wind was against them. But in the 4th watch of the night, he came to them, walking on the sea. When they caught sight of him walking on the sea, the disciples were